Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our very last webinar from ECPG this year, Voices for Impact, How Early Career Pharmaceutical Organization, ECPOs could drive public health awareness. So we had multiple speakers here today from different continents, and they'll be sharing with us their exciting public health campaign experiences. We are waiting for more participants to join in, but without further delay and we try not to keep you waiting. Let's kick started. My name is Yiling and I will be your host for today. For today's session, it will be started with a welcoming remarks, followed by a Voices of Impact, Shaping Behaviour, Changing Life by Dr. Diyana, the director from UPM UNICEF C4D Malaysia. And we had two ECPO sharing by Alex as well as Reginald from TYPG and ECPG Ghana respectively. So throughout the session, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box and we'll address them during the panel discussion. After which, we'll take a group photo together and close the session today. Thank you again for joining us on this meaningful Saturday to learn how young pharmacists and early career pharmacists could make a change by learning a communication for change. So let us welcome Ms. Ala, the president of FIP ECPG, to share with us some of her thoughts and vision for ECPG next year. I'll hand over to Ella.
Hello, everyone. Just confirming if you can hear me. Great. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Emanuela Nzeribe from Nigeria, and I am the president of this beautiful and amazing organization. I have the opportunity to serve as a president, and with all of this, I really hope that you gain all the knowledge that you need to be able to function and understand the essence of this organization, and of course, organizing public awareness, public health campaigns in your various organizations. So without further ado, I'll give us a bit of introduction on what FIP and FIP ECPG is all about. So yeah, so will you help me switch over to the next slide? Great, thank you. So as we all know, I know most of us have heard a lot about FIP and ECPG. So FIP is a global body that speaks about, that houses millions and millions of pharmacists across the globe. And of course, the beautiful faces that you are seeing here are the leaders of FIP and of course ECPG. We have Paul Sinclair, who is the president, and Catherine Duggan, who is the CEO of FIP, and Luis Lorenzo, who was a former president of FIP ECPG and is our ECPG champion of the bureau. So as we move further, to the next slide, I would let us in on what FIP is and how we function. So of course, FIP, established in 1912, is a global federation that houses national associations and millions of pharmacists, pharmaceutical scientists, and pharmacy educators all over the world. We are a non-governmental organization. We have official relations with WHO, UNESCO, UNICEF, and other UN organizations. We have a memorandum with WHO, of course, and we have a vision to ensure that everyone has access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable medicines. And for us to be able to do this, we try as much as we can to advance pharmaceutical practice, pharmaceutical sciences, and pharmacy education. So we do that in various ways. And moving on to the next slide, this is just a brief overview of what FIP is all about. There are more information online if you visit www.fip.org. And for us to be able to advance pharmacy worldwide, we do this through the development goals. So we have, FIP has a strategic plan. And within this strategic plan, we have the FIP development goals, that there are about 21 of them. And within these 21 of them, they cover the practice aspect of pharmacy, they cover the sciences aspect of pharmacy, and of course, the education or the workforce that speaks to the training of the young pharmacists, right? So within this, just as you can see on the screen, there are 21 of them speaking to academic capacity, competency development, leadership development, policy development, patient safety, digital health. Like, there are just a lot of them. And amidst all of these things, we try to merge them into something that we call the one FIP, just to ensure that these three aspects of pharmacy I'm talking about, the practice, the sciences, and education, are all intertwined. So for us to do this, we try to do everything that we can to ensure that whatever we do is embedded in the development goals. So moving on to the next slide, just to give you a bit of information about ECPG and what it stands for. So the ECPG stands for the Early Career Pharmaceutical Group, as some of you may know, and we have a mandate of advancing the profession right from the start. So ECPG is comprising of early career pharmacists, professionals that are within FIP, but then, okay, that are within FIP, but of course they have 0 to 8 years of graduation from their first pharmacy degree. So if you're a young person here, you are within 0 to 8 years of graduation from your first pharmacy degree. I mean, you're already a member of us and you are welcome. So ECPG started off as a YPG, the Young Pharmacist Group, sometime in 2001. And in all of these, we have developed a strategic plan that has helped us, crafted out from the FIP strategic plan. We have a strategic plan that helps us to even do everything that we can to ensure that we empower young pharmacists all over the world to be able to make impact wherever they find themselves, both locally, regionally, and internationally. So our mission is to promote the goals of FIP, bringing inclusivity of the ECPG members and leading everyone to be able to connect and take active roles in FIP projects and other activities that they may find themselves. So to the next slide, just to give us a brief overview of what we are doing, we have the steering committee of this year. Of course, this year is already winding down. We have the steering committee. I have this beautiful team here that worked with me all through this year to be able to achieve our major goals for this year. Moving on to the next slide. So these are the membership. This speaks to the membership, and just to call it out that we have a huge membership from over 93 countries and counting. And then within the subcommittee, we have about 42 subcommittee members. And within the subcommittee members, they are all representing the different WHO regions. So we speak about inclusion, we speak about variety and multidisciplinary team. Moving on to the next slide. So just to give us a brief overview of what we have been doing all through this year we had a theme. Our theme was collaboration and engagement. And we did this by ensuring the alignment, first of all, sharing the vision and making sure that everyone in the team is able to align with what we have for this year, which is collaboration and engagement. So we represent ECPG both internally and externally within FIP, and of course at other member organizations. We collaborate with member organizations, we engage with FIP leaders. So for one thing that we did this year was collaborating with FIP leaders within the organization to ensure that ECPG members career development is enhanced. And by doing this, we have the mentorship program, which had just kickstarted this year. And then we had the leadership development program. So we have two different leadership development program. We have the physical and then the virtual one. The virtual one is a longitudinal 10-month leadership development program, and that is currently ongoing. It started sometime in November and it will last till October next year. And we have some projects that have been ongoing. We have webinars that we do just like this one to also speak about the different aspects of pharmacy that would also speak to the interests of different young pharmacists all over the world. Then we collaborate with partners. We do a lot of collaboration with partners to ensure that we are able to, align with the theme that we have for this year. And of course, we engage with our members through networking sessions. We've had various networking sessions this year. We have both physical during the Congress and virtual one, which was done some time ago in June. So to the next slide, these are just some of the things that we were able to accomplish this year. We had the rare disease toolkit that started, that was developed, and I mean it was also launched this year. And then we've explored different ways to continue to engage our members. Then we have also updated our operating guidelines. We have the alumni guidelines, which was established, and we have a community just from the alumni guidelines, from the alumni, the people that were former members of ECPG, and then of course we made sure that we also scholarships, because as early career pharmacists, we also need those scholarships to be able to attend the Congress. So we had more scholarships this year than recorded in previous years. We also had representations at both the WHA, the World Health Assembly, the COP, the World Health Summit, and then we've also gone ahead to also establish collaborations with different organizations as well. So moving on to the next slide, this is just speaking to what our strategic plan has been all about. So we have various priorities, and the reason why you are seeing it here with the QR code is to let you, move to what our strategic plan is all about and what we envision to do by year 2030. So we have advancing the profession at different areas worldwide through various projects. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, we have the leadership development program, we have the mentorship program, we also have the remote volunteering program that are also ongoing. We have different priorities of also supporting early career pharmacists from limited resources to ensure that they have access to some of the resources that they need. And that also includes the mentorship program as well. And then we also advocate, we advocate for the inclusion of early career perspectives. So of one of which is the WHO Civil Society Commission, which we ECPG joined this year. That's actually good news. And we also make sure that we provide opportunities for professional development. So that includes competencies. So within FIP, we have there are competencies, competency framework that has been developed. And for young pharmacists to be able to meet up with these competencies, we also provide those opportunities. They come in form of webinars, they come in form of CPD bites, they also come in form of trainings to ensure that ECPG members are also able to meet up with expectations when they practice, both at the international level and of course in the national level. And then of course, we also foster leadership and engagement for early career pharmacists or early career members within the various FIP constituencies and sections. So moving on to the next slide is just basically speaking to the different snippets of ECPG that we take action in, and we also just make sure that everyone is active in different areas. So we engage with members, we had networking events, we have mentorship program, and then we also have the CPD or continuous professional development programs that we do to ensure that young pharmacists, early career pharmacists all over the world are also able to develop their careers in different ways. So with this, I will hand over to Yiling to continue with to continue with this webinar. And of course, just to let you all know that this webinar is very important and it's coming in at a timely time for us to discuss, we have seasoned speakers that are here that would give us what they have been doing. They will tell us what they have been doing during their time or in their organizations in terms of campaigns and driving public health awareness. So thank you and over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ella. Hi, welcome those who just joined in. Thank you very much for spending your Saturday with us. I understand some of you might be on the way to the work or you are still in your pharmacy to serve your patients, but thank you very much for joining us. And before we move further, just want to keep everyone alerted that this webinar is fully recorded, including the sharing. So we will be sending over for those who are interested to watch back in case you miss any important points, right? So without further delay, today we have three esteemed speakers together with us, but we'll start with Dr. Diyana. So Dr. Diyana will be sharing with us on Voice of Impact, Shaping Behavior and Changing Life. Some stories why we started this webinar was really because when I was working as a Young Pharmacist Group, we organized a lot of on-ground activities. We go to shopping malls, set up a booth and talk about what is the role of pharmacists and what pharmacists can contribute. But there's a lot of time where we start doubting, is it really the most effective way? What else that we can do to make it more impactful? And Dr. Diyana, the expert who is also a researcher, educator, and trainer in media and communication, will be sharing with us her thoughts through her experience and expertise in training a lot of people in using this model. You'll be hearing it very soon, SBCC and BIs. So over to you, Dr. Diyana, to share your screen. And in the next 25 minutes, jot down all the important notes and ask questions in the chat box. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Yiling, for the brief introduction, and thank you to the FIP for inviting me tonight to speaking to all of you. And I can see there are many of you here, and let me begin by greeting all of you good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So from wherever you are. Okay, so without further ado, I have prepared some slides for me to speak to you, and then I call this as Voices of Impact, sorry, I can't see something here. Hang on. Okay. Shaping behaviors, changing lives. So so before I begin this session, let me ask you, so you can just write it in the chat box or you feel free to unmute your mic. So let's make this session as interactive as possible. Okay, so how many of you actually understand the word impact? So do you know what impact is all about? What do you consider as impact? So you can put it in the chat box. You can unmute your mic if you would like to, because certainly I think in today's world, especially coming from the program planners, even the pharmacists, we are really interested with the word impact. And yeah, I can see that. Thank you. I can see that make changes, and then you have make change, impact lead to change, making difference, and to influence someone. And of course, all the answers are right. And then the question here is how you actually create the impact and how you can actually influence somebody in making the impact as well, or probably in influencing behavior. All right, so coming from a communication background, and I'm also championing on social and behavior change, behavioral insights, and I'm also consider that one of my area of interest is government communication, strategic communication, as well as nation building in divided society. I am really interested in to see the role of communication in creating changes. So a little bit of the background about myself. So you can call me Diyana for tonight's session in case, you know, if you feel like unmuting your mic, please feel free to do so. And I'm currently leading this center or program called UPM UNICEF SIP4D at the University of Putra, Malaysia, or UPM. All right, so here's my email address at the bottom in case you are interested to ask questions. And of course, I'll take questions for tonight too. All right, so here, let's take a look at what is SBCC. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this word, this abbreviation, SBCC, but definitely this stands for Social and Behavior Change, Communication, and the sole purpose, or probably the idea behind SBCC, is definitely in utilizing communication strategies that are based on behavior science to positively influence knowledge, attitudes, and social norms among individuals, institutions, and committees. So I'm just going to post it right here. So may I know how many of you have heard this before, SBCC? Because I know SBCC is big in Africa, because I can see from the screen, I think many of you actually come from Africa here. Like I know Emmanuel comes from Nigeria, or somebody says here, heard it before. All right, so that's great. So if just in case this is your first time, so I don't blame you, okay? But so let's dig deeper in what SBCC is essentially, the purpose of that, what this framework actually serves to be. So here, like I mentioned just now, communication is catalyst for change. So here we're using communication actually to create positive changes or sustainable changes. Right. So now, so if you look at this comparison between and SBCC, you can see that this is with additional C and the other part is minus C. So definitely the way I'm going to make it simple or to simplify this in the most layman term is SBC is the outcome of SBCC. If you look at that, a systematic plan and evidence-based approach to promote positive and measurable behavioral and social change through strategic communications. And if you look at from the left-hand side, it says that is a set of positive results that contribute to achieving human rights and improve people's well-being. So clearly, if you look at from the left-hand side, it is the outcome of this, which we use communication to create changes. So hence SBC and SBCC. And then if you look at what it is used for, so, well, under SBCC, we're looking at a mix of communication tools, channels, and approaches to facilitate dialogue, participation, and engagement with children, families, communities, networks for positive social and behavior change in both development and humanitarian context. And if you look at the purpose of SBC is a set of strategies and interventions that influences drivers of change and supports local action towards better societies. It is an approach to develop programming that addresses core problems. So I think if you think about whatever that you're doing right now as the early career pharmacist, I believe you need both. You need both communication tools or channels. And of course, in that regard, you're trying to come up with something, for example, interventions to address core problems. So I include here some of the examples. So you can achieve this by advocacy, social mobilization, capacity strengthening or building, communication engagement, as well as communication campaigns. Of course, there are many more. And then how SBC programming relies on communication as a key strategy and embraces the need to generate evidence and contextual determinants, for example, social norms. So clearly, if you look at that, through and through, on the left-hand side, everything here is the outcome of communication, hence SBCC. And I want you to keep this in mind if you're taking notes on this idea of social norms. Definitely, we're going to speak about that in a while. Right. So in a nutshell, if somebody asked you what is SBCC, it is grounded in theory and is evidence-based. So I believe that you as an early career pharmacist or you are in health, you must have some cases. I'm sure you have data somewhere depending on which country or districts you come from. So that's the reason why whatever that we are doing, it is very much embedded in evidence-based. Okay, right. Okay, before that, if you have questions, feel free to stop me at any time. So I'm willing to take the questions as well. Right, so here, now remember I mentioned just about social norms. So I find it quite interesting when it comes to social norms. So that is the unwritten rules that are adhered to in a person's family or peer group and within a community or social at large. So it is something that I'm sure we have heard about this, what's considered as right or wrong. That depends on the context itself. And I'm sure at some point we might have come across some idea of cultural conflicts just because, you know, these are social, what's considered as acceptable, what's considered as not acceptable. And I give you an example. I know this is probably breaking the law or bending the rules. I'm not sure how it is in Africa, but I've definitely been to African continent previously. That is Morocco in North Africa. So if you are Malaysian participants, I'm sure you are aware about these norms. We are very naughty, to be honest. What will you do? I'm not sure whether this is shared by the African participants tonight, but think about what will you do every time you see the yellow light on the road? Will you be prepared to slow down and you just feel the sudden urge of pressing the accelerator? Which one?
I have to
So,
be very honest. I usually press the accelerator and just rush it through the yellow light before it turns red.
right. So even somebody, Frank, had mentioned in the chat session, go ahead to pass the road. You know, like that's what pretty much what we all do. Unless if you're British, probably you won't do that. But then for all of us, we just go ahead and press the accelerator. Yeah. So Emmanuel says the same thing. And well, I'm guilty of that too. So that is what we consider as norms. I mean, although that is probably not the best example because it involves a law breaking, but yeah, that is considered as something normal and acceptable, although not in a good way. All right, so that's why it's called as unwritten rules. Even if you try to follow the rules, somebody might just say, come on, it's still yellow. You can just press the accelerator and pass. So norms can generally be defined as those regulating factors that determine how a person behaves in a particular context. So everything goes back to context. And then allow me to actually explain a little bit further regarding social norms. So if you think about norms, yes, we have the societal norms. We as a society, sometimes we can a bit naughty, I don't know how to say that. But not only that, each family and each individual has his or her norms as well, what is considered as acceptable. So that makes it very, very complicated, especially if you're coming out with campaigns or communication campaigns regarding health. All right, so I think pretty much we know what norms are by now. Okay, so having said that, I have this little example, something that we as a team, I know one of my team members, and actually two of my team members are here, so let me just give them a shout out. Here we have Shafika is here, and also my facilitator Mahmoud is here as well. So thank you for joining us tonight. And then, well, this is something that we personally had worked together with this nutritionist coming from the Ministry of Health. And then this is a bunch of people actually work with the Orang Asli or indigenous community in Malaysia. You can tell from whatever they are wearing here, the headgears, and then probably the costumes that you are seeing. In fact, you could see probably the house and that's the giveaway that they belong to this indigenous community. All right, a little bit background regarding this indigenous community. So one of the norms that had been, I think that's quite difficult for us as well because we are the outsiders, and for them, they just don't like anybody wearing authority badges. So let's say if you have if you're wearing a uniform, having that, what you call this certain insignia or anything that shows that you're from the authority, there's no way for you to speak to them. So what you can do is probably you might want to make friend with the head of the village. So because they listen to the head of the village, or we call them this person Tok Batin. So that's how you get access to this particular community. And I find it quite interesting as well, like yes, one of the ways is definitely to get access through the head of village, and then entertainment is very, very big among this particular community. So let me just show you the next slide to put that into perspective, and we can have more discussion regarding this. All right, so this is the actual nutritionist. I mean, she and her team had been working with the indigenous community, and the team came out with this particular video and created by using TikTok. So let me just play that. I'll translate in a bit to all of you.
Makanan tadi untuk kesihatan anda dan anak-anak. Selamat beramal.
All right, so I'm not sure whether you can hear this sound. I hope you can. And I'm very, very sure that you could see that particular nutritionist was pointing to some of the images on top of her head. And then, okay, so from what we have learned from this nutritionist working with the indigenous community in the East Coast side of Malaysia, is that entertainment is big. So the way to get through to this community is by using anything that involves entertainment or music, because they just like music, anything that makes them happy. So that was exactly what they did by incorporating a short video and music together, and then putting the image of the meat, because I'm not sure about African continent, but feel free to share. I would love to know about your continent as well. But in this particular community, the problem is anemia, just like what you saw in the first slide just now. So apparently there's the case of anemic women of reproductive age is quite high among this community. There's a reason to this, because most of the source of zinc they consume via plant-based, not through the meat-based. And then in the norms of Orang Asli, or this indigenous community, is every single animal that, including the ones that you raise like cows, pigs, chicken, or goat, they are considered as family or pet. So each of these animal has its name. So let's say you give a name. I can't think about the name, but just assume probably Jeffrey. You call a goat Jeffrey, for example. So it's like, are we slaughtering Jeffrey today? That's how the closeness with the animals are. So that makes it very difficult for them to uptake the zinc intake among this community. So then of course there's a different way, and then just the way to educate this community is by showing that short video, and then what has probably high content of zinc. And then another thing, not everybody can read or literate, so I think by having this short clip will be helpful in terms of giving them ideas what they can do to increase the intake of zinc. So this is one of the ways, like when we think about certain community, we think about our target public, not everyone is the same. It has to be very, very targeted. All right, so the next one, okay, sorry, that's done. All right. So now, before we actually even go to that, so there's something that we call as behavioral analysis. So the reason why we conduct behavioral analysis is to understand why people behave the way they do. So the idea is we want to create behavior and positive sustainable changes, so that is what we want essentially. If it's possible, we don't want anything short term, but we want something that is more sustainable. So if you look at the next example, is we want people to eat healthier, we need them to perform desired behaviors or change negative behavior. So in this case, it's clearly we have the objective here probably on perform desired behavior or change negative behaviors. So the next one, we're looking at what are considered as behaviors and non-behaviors. So now, this is something we call as KAB, and it stands for knowledge, attitude, as well as behavior. So we think about knowledge, that is awareness, familiarity, and an attitude is probably something that you consider as agreement, motivation, perceived self-efficacy, outcome, expectancy, and then we have behavior, that is actions and practices. So some people, they might think, oh, what's the difference between attitude and behavior? So the way I can encapsulate this and to make it easier for everybody to understand, think about it this way. Knowledge comes from here, from your mind or your brain. And then attitude comes from how you feel about this. So it goes to your heart, and behavior is action, basically. So when you think about KAB, knowledge, attitude, or behavior, always think about it this way, like knowledge, attitude, as well as behavior, things that you do. So I think that is the best way that I can simplify the differences between KAB. And then as a good program planner, we want to go to target behavior, because I believe that we have enough awareness around us, and then people still probably not doing anything about it. So if you target the behavior, automatically you'll be covering knowledge as well as attitude. So this is what we want as a program planner when you do your intervention programs. Okay. All right. So the next one is, so I hope I managed to make it to distinguish in the most simple way regarding this K, A, and B. All right. So this is the example. Remember, if you look at this one, we have that desired behavior and change negative behaviors. This is just an example that we've done through our workshop session with our participants. So here, the problem of anemia or anemic among orang asli or indigenous community is worrying about 30% at anemic mothers attending this is what we call as Gua Musang district actually do not have restriction against high iron food by 36 of over 52 POG. So this is one example of how you can create changes. Okay, all right. So I'm sure when we try to create changes, we are looking at certain percentage. And then the reason why some people might think 30% is small, but trust me, 30% is not big. Even let's say there's small adjustment, probably after 6 months intervention, the number probably goes down to 25%. That's still 5% change rather than not moving at all. So this is something that we have to think about as realistic as possible, because think about it, there's no way you can aim for 100%. In fact, if you sit for your examination, I believe when you did your probably pharmacology degree, nobody achieved 100%, right? So that's how it works. When you put the target number, look at your existing data. Remember we talked about evidence-based, look at your existing data and work out from there, how many percent are you targeting from your existing data when you want to create changes. So now, when somebody asks what's the impact, that is what considered as impact, and you won't get impact as soon as possible. So let's say if you see the reduction of 5%, that is impact. The reduction of 5%. And of course, you don't get that immediately. So usually you'll be monitoring this probably in an interval of 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, depending on what the target that you had set for a certain program or intervention. Okay, so here, for example, like for the existing behavior, you can see that probably among individuals, what's the problem, interpersonal, community, institution. That is probably a different story for a different day, but then it's just that this is just an example, like what you want to change as the desired behavior, and what could be the barriers of motivations to this, and then what could be your communication messages. So this is just like, in the essence, how you come up with what do you call that, in creating impact and also to create changes in certain district. All right, so another example that I really like is on this comic-based approach. So I'm not sure whether if in a different countries you might have this. So if you have, probably you might want to share that in the chat section right now. Mental health is big. Is a big problem around the world, and then now children are affected by it as well. And then now the question is, how many of us are aware that children are affected? And I'm not sure in Africa how it works, but in Malaysia, definitely we had seen something, the so-called module provided by the ministry. And I'm not sure if Yiling, I can see Janice here, probably Janice had seen that on, how the module actually looks like. And then, to be honest with you, as an adult, I can't even bring myself to go through the module from A to Z or to the last page, because it's just too wordy, and I find that's a bit too technical, probably for school children. So what happened is that we work together with Noble Doctor, this particular NGO who's specialized in family medicine. I mean, the founder of Noble Doctor. So they came up with this idea by using comic-based approach instead on seeking help awareness among school children. So I wish we are here face to face, so we could actually show you how this looks like, but then I think this is sufficient for now. So here we're looking at, the awareness regarding the mental health, and then this comic is called as Let's Talk About This, right? So, and then of course, I mean, what had transpired from this is they use storytelling approach it's like telling story to kids, and then about, what do you feel as a person? Do you have this anger feeling? I mean, expressing or processing your feeling in general. And of course, there are other activities in there. Art therapy and breathing techniques are all included in here. And then to encourage the kids to do that. So we work with the school, and then we provided actually what do you call it, incentives. So anytime they had finished the work, you know that little card that you get, that stamp card. Let's say if you go to the coffee shop, you buy one coffee, get one stamp. So we emulated the same way for the school kids to encourage them to complete this whole module or comic. Right. And then on top of that, in the school, there were also posters being pasted everywhere, just for them to see. I mean, we try to make it as colorful as possible, you know, be mindful here. They are kids, you know, they're in primary from 7 to 12. So here we have this my wellness meter, and then you have this green, yellow, and then there are some indicators about, oh, let's say if you're here, probably you need to take a break and stop what you're doing, and then great job. Make sure you still regularly take time to yourself. This is like a little reminder that had been pasted on the wall around the school. And then not only that, we also came out with these steps, little thing that you actually put it on the floor just to show that, hey, there's counselor's room somewhere. So just breathe. You are important. You are loved. You are enough. Mental health matters. You got this, and trust the process. You're almost there. So this is like a little fun thing that they came out with to encourage the school children to get help from the counselors. And also, yeah, these are some of the door wall posters. They actually put that in the toilet as well. So what can I say to myself today? I listen to my teachers. I believe in myself. I enjoy learning. I'm matter. I'm kind to all. I'm loved. So basically, this is something that probably some extraction that has been taken from the comic. So this is what I know. I wish we have longer time so that I could talk more about behavioral insights. So basically, this is something that is the application base of behavioral insights. So now I think, yeah, my time is almost there. So, and I think, yeah, that's all. Thank you. So if you have questions, probably you can post it in the chat section, and probably we can save it later during our panel session. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Diyana. In fact, I already have a list of questions in my mind when you are talking about all the campaigns on how we can apply to even, for example, a recruitment for webinars registration. I guess that's to create the actions for people to sign up is something relevant to today's topics as well. So type in your question in the chat if you have any, and we'll address it during the panel discussion. And today we invited two ECPO representatives. The first one will be Alex, followed by Reginald, to share with us one of their most successful public health campaigns and to give us some insights on how we can perhaps apply to our countries as well as our YPG. So, the first speakers that we will be having is Alex. Let me just share profile. All right. So Alex will be talking about crafting public health campaign that speaks to your audience. And he's a general director from Taiwan Young Pharmacist Group, who is overseeing the professional development. I think Alex is here with us today online, and he'll be sharing one of the very interesting campaigns that he has done. And I just give you some hint. He'll show you a series of poster, and it's really amazing. And you must have a look on those posters on how it portrays the message that they want to bring out to the public out there. Okay, over to you, Alex. You may share your screen.
Okay. So, okay, so can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so thank you for your kind introduction, Elaine. And hello everyone, good morning, good evening everyone. So I'm Alex from Taiwan Young Pharmacist Group. So today I'm going to sharing a experience from TYPG that how to design or organize a successful public health campaign. So that's my topic, putting people first, that we want to like organize or like design a audience-oriented public health campaign. Okay, so first of all, I'm now a PhD candidate in National Taiwan University, and now it's like kind of like special that I'm not in a pharmacy or hospital. I'm now focusing on cell biology and molecular biology, and now I am a general director in FIP. Okay, so it's kind of like a summary that I summarize those challenges we're going to confront it with or facing with, like during organizing or preparing a public health campaign organization. So, like I list like 3 points, like limited resources, lack of visibility, or message overload and competition. So first of all is the limited resources. Like sometimes when we face insufficient budget, time, and manpower, but fortunately we have some grant from the Taiwan government, so the budget is not a problem. And also we have some very good assistance from our association. So this is not a problem for us. But as we can see, that lack of visibility or message overload, these 2 points are really associated with people. Okay, so that's why I want to put my emphasis on the audience-oriented organization this time. So there's some points like awareness barrier or accessibility barriers that lead to the lack of visibility. And also the target audience sometimes can be overwhelmed by all the information they can get from, for example, TikTok or like Facebook, Instagram, like daily time. So this message overload can also lead to the insufficient communication between us and the general audience. Okay, so what I want to tell you is that we design our campaign, like there's only one direction. We serve this campaign for the general public. So the mindset in our mind is always the audience oriented. Oh, okay, so in order to increase the visibility of our campaign, that we choose to participate in this Taiwan Science Festival. So I'm going to telling you what's the reason behind our decision. So first of all, the Taiwan Science Festival is the annual science outreach, event since 2020, and its purpose is to promote the scientific knowledge and cultivate the scientific literacy. And that's the theme of this year, Trust Science Advances Sustainability. And there's diverse activity, for example, science fairs, life science demonstration, science theme, theater performance, and so on. And it's a very famous activity in Taiwan since its inception in 2020, that there's over like 1.8 million attendees has come to this festival from 2020. So it's a very, very famous and it's efficient promotion like outreach in Taiwan. Okay, so this is the photo of the activity. As you can see that like people come to our booth and take some giveaway and like also have some consultation with our pharmacists. As you can see, like here's a girl, she has some consultation with the pharmacist we invited to the booth. Okay, so here's some solution I want to discuss with you. First of all is the lack of the visibility. So the strategy we apply to the design or organization of this public health campaign, first of all, is like we choose to advocate for medication safety at a very large event. As I just told you that since 2020 that we have attracted like 1.8 million people to this event. So rather than organize a public health on our own, we choose to advocate our specific theme to the general public at a very large event. Okay, so what's the advantage of participate in a large event is that we can attract more publication attention from the general public. And also we will have broader audience, sometimes this audience is not really accessible when we are like organizing the public health campaign by our own. Okay. And as I just told you that a limited budget sometimes is really a problem or issue when we are going to organizing or preparing a campaign. So if we put like joining a large event, sometimes the associated promotional costs can be lowered down or be reduced. Okay. Okay, then the second point is the message overload and competition. So first of all, how we like going to overcome this issue is like, first of all, we try to narrow down the advocacy theme. We make it very specific. So we only like draw the general public audience attention to a very specific topic. So the topic we settled down today, this year, is the medication safety. For example, we try to teaching the children the simple pill swallowing techniques or something. And also we try to evoke the interest of the general public. So first of all, we use the coloring pages. We design some coloring pages to capture the children's interest or their attention. And also we design or like telling them some tips for practicing pill swallowing on the back of the coloring pages. So in addition to just like make some color on the pages, they can also read the directions on the back of the coloring pages, which is very informative for not only children and also their parents. And also we design some interactive activities, like for example, some experiments with effervescent tablet. So with this small experiment that the parents tend to stay at the booth with their children. So this time we'll create some opportunity for the parents to consult with our invited on-site pharmacist. All right, and also we like design some very beautiful like picture on our booth. For example, you can see the epidraw, which is associated with pseudoephedrine or aspirin, atropine, nicotine, something. So people come to us and asking, hey, what's this? What's this is? So what this is from? So this is another way we use to evoke the interest from the general public. And here, I just told you that here's the coloring pages that we designed for children. And here is the pill that we try to tell in the children what's the technique or skills to do the pill swallowing. Okay, the last one is the we use this like hand card to teach the principle behind the effervescent tablet, and also we also trying to telling the general public what's the role of pharmacists in the health promoting system. For example, like hospital pharmacists, like pharmacy, big pharma pharmacy, or academia pharmacists. Okay, so indeed, like there is some parents like asking us, my daughter want to be a pharmacist in the future. How would you like? Can you briefly introduce what's the role of pharmacists in either like community pharmacy or in hospital, and so on? Okay, so here's a easy quantitative result of the campaign that over 1,000 people come to our booth during a 3-day campaign. And also we give away about like 1,000 coloring pages and telling them about the technique of pill swallowing. And also we have some consultation to the parents about the medication of their children or something. So I think it's the last slide. So here's some take-home message that here's the summary of my talk. That first of all, we're trying to use some strategy to maximize the visibility of our campaign. And the second is like we try to be very specific on the theme or the topic that we want to convey to the general audience. And also we use some like design or interactive small experiment to engage through a creative interactive approaches. And by this way, like creating some interaction we can create another or other opportunities for deeper engagement. For example, there indeed have some consultation between us and the parents or the children. Okay, thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to take for all your questions in the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Alex, for sharing. So you have seen the poster regarding all the pseudoephedrine and all. Let me just tell you why I highlighted that. Recently, some of you may know I work in a chain community pharmacy where we have more than 300 pharmacies, and we produce a lot of poster to do public education. Right. And my CEO is particularly not satisfied with the standard of our poster, and he looked around, Googled a list of posters that he think can deliver the message better, and this set of poster is one of those. He commented it has a very artistic and could attract attention, good headline, good call to action, and good intention that can bring to people. And I guess this also sparks my mind on a lot of time when we are doing education materials, we tend to be very professionals, very education based, but sometimes our public may want something more artistic to make them stop by and listen to us. So perhaps this could be something that we can consider for FIP ECPG in future too, doing some artistic poster for our future event. All right. Thank you very much, Alex, for your sharing. And if you have any question for Alex pertaining to how TYPG works on their campaigns, feel free to type in the chat and we'll be answering them during the panel discussion. And now, we would have the last presentation by Reginald, who is from ECPG Ghana. He is a chairperson from ECPG Ghana, and Reginald will be sharing with us one of his recent activities during World Pharmacist Day, where they reach out to the public and talk about how Early Career Pharmacist Group could make an impact through this activity. Regina, I'll hand over the stage to you to share your screen as well as your campaign.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Yiling. Kindly let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And forgive me, maybe for the background. One of our senior pharmacists is getting married. So I decided to be in two places at the same time. So forgive me if you probably hear some background noise. So as Yiling rightly said, my name is Reginald Brown. I'm currently the chairperson of ECPG Ghana. I believe strongly that whatever I'm going to present here is a team effort, which is why I'm starting with the picture of Team Ghana ECPG. So in Ghana, we believe that it takes a community to execute a project. This morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are joining from, I have only 10 minutes to try and tell a story about the public health campaign situation in Ghana. I want to start off with a hypothesis. And my hypothesis is that public health campaigns are not one-off events. Usually when we talk about public health campaigns, we think it is some shortcutting or some one-week program that has been organized, and then we think that is it. But I think that my contention in this presentation is that a public health campaign is a continuum. It has to start from somewhere and then continuously go on. I currently work within the pharma sales and marketing space. I wouldn't want to probably give so much about my background, but I love sales and marketing. I started off with oncology. I did a bit of nephrology at some point in time, but currently now I manage a business with about 9 different multinational companies within the basket in Ghana. And we have a team across the whole of Ghana. So my job this afternoon is to tell you about our public health campaign situation in Ghana. But I think I can only do a good job when I give you a synopsis of what Ghana or what Ghana represents. So Ghana is a very interesting country in West Africa, which is sandwiched between Burkina Faso Togo, and then Cote d'Ivoire. So interestingly, we are an Anglophone or English-speaking country, but we are sandwiched by Francophone-speaking countries. And we have 16 regions. So this, which you can see on the far right-hand side, we have 16 regions in Ghana. Ghana attained independence in 1956. And for those who have visited West Africa before, definitely Ghana is one of the countries you may have visited at some point in time. Of the 16 regions, I'll probably highlight two of the regions. The capital is Greater Accra, which has so many fun activities. And then outside of that, we have other 15 regions. But the two regions constitute 11 million of our current population of 30.8 million. I'm telling this to be able to help center the reason why we do certain public health campaigns. So you have the Greater Accra, which is the capital, and then Ashanti region, which constitutes 11 million of all the citizens within the country. These are just a few interesting areas you may want to visit when you join us in Ghana one day. So we have the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, which Kwame Nkrumah is the first president of Ghana. So just for you to know that we have a whole museum for our very first prime minister and then president. We have other interesting areas, canopy walkways, which I believe when you visit us in Ghana, you would also want to visit. And in terms of very fun areas outside of Accra and in Accra, you see so many of such areas that I'm showing you. In as much as you are seeing this artistic impression, sometimes you might think they are Photoshop. But when you come here, you definitely see that these are real life situations in Ghana. So because we are talking about public health, it will be good to give you a brief overview of how our healthcare system looks like. Previously, Ghana used to have what we call the triple level or triple tier system of healthcare, where we had the tertiary, secondary, and the primary. So the tertiary usually would have the teaching hospital, and that is where most of myself, the pharmacists, and then the nurses and the doctors will be trained at the teaching hospital. But currently now we have introduced a quaternary level in Ghana, which shows in the next two slides, which I'll be talking about. So currently we have the primary healthcare, we have the secondary healthcare, and then the tertiary healthcare. So the primary, they will be doing the basic diseases of common occurrence. You go to the secondary health, they would be managing a bit of cardiology, nephrology, neurology, and all that. And then you go to the tertiary level where you have more of the specialist care. But now we have the first quaternary center in Ghana, which provides beyond the tertiary level. They also now have a clinical trial session. So for countries or companies who may even want to run clinical trials, now we have an institute that is able to do that. And as you can see, it's not just about how nice it looks like, but the level of specialty care that it renders to citizens in Ghana and in the sub-region. So it is one of the key institutions that helps us expand our scope within the medical tourism space. For anyone who comes to Ghana, pharmacists work in all kinds of places within the healthcare system. We have pharmacists working in hospitals. So we have hospitals that have helipads. So in cases of emergency, you can have the helipads landing to be able to bring these patients for all levels of care. We have pharmacists in the community. They work 24-hour, not all of them, but most now run 24-hour pharmacy across the country. And then we have the industry or the manufacturing as well, where they produce all kinds of high-quality medicines, which are also being transported to the other African countries through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. We also, of course, have pharmacists within the regulatory, academia, and all that. But of course, like I mentioned, I have only 10 minutes. So my job is to try and consolidate the information. For us as the ECPG of Ghana, Early Career Pharmaceutical Group, within the pharmacy setup of Ghana, we report to the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, as you can see in the logo on the far right. And this is the setup of pharmacy in Ghana. We have various practice groups, those who are within the sales and marketing, which is PRASMA, that is where I sit. Those in the community, we have them, those within multinational space, and then those within the hospital setting. But ECPG in Ghana is considered as an interest group. And under ECPG, we have the student bodies, that's the Pharmaceutical Student Federation, who last year organized one of the top-notch federation events in Ghana. Then under them, we have the various pharmacy schools who report into the federation. So this is how ECPG comes across within Ghana. So why are we here this afternoon or this morning or this evening? At the just ended World Pharmacist Day, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, in conjunction with the Early Career Pharmaceutical Group, and I say in conjunction with ECPG because currently in Ghana, we have 6,000 plus registered pharmacists, and the ECPG constitutes 70% of that total population. In Kumasi, which is the other region that I mentioned, so I mentioned in one of the slides that two regions, Accra and Kumasi, constitutes 11 million of total population of Ghana. The AGM, that is our annual general meeting this year, was done in Kumasi, and we ran what we call the Operation Storm. So Operation Storm essentially is taking public health campaign to the public. Usually, we prefer, in most instances, public health campaign has this kind of laid-back approach. But with the Operation Storm system, we devise areas. We try and do a needs assessment of communities. In this case, when we were in Kumasi, we looked at the fact that there are certain community pharmacies around and certain businesses. We have marketplaces, we have corporate institutions like bank, we have schools and all that. Where are the low-hanging fruits where people would require the services of pharmacists? And we take the message to them so that they feel confident to be able to join, to come and assess the levels of care that pharmacists are able to provide. So as you can see in the picture, Kumasi has 5.4 million residents. We targeted markets, we targeted banks, we targeted corporate institutions, and young pharmacists went out there to engage these Ghanaians on all kinds of issues. So in this case, we wanted to hear from them. What are the peculiar medicine-related issues or health-related issues that they believe pharmacists can help them address? So you can see that we did not sit in our offices. We went out there to have face-to-face engagement with them. So here, the key factor or the key determinant here is understanding the needs assessment of the people. What are the gaps within the healthcare system? In Ghana, we say that pharmacists at work are the first port of call. And I'll come to that point very shortly. So you can see that we did not only choose the corporate institutions, but we also went to the marketplaces where people do buying and selling. So here you appreciate that we were tackling both the formal and then the informal economy. Because in Ghana, the informal economy constitutes about 80% in terms of service delivery. So if you target only the corporate institutions, you may be losing a lot of productivity or manpower, because most of our mothers and our fathers end up in the markets, in the lorry parks and all that, which is the informal economy. And that is what informed the Operation Storm campaign. In a total of 1,200 residents in Kumasi were engaged. And I believe the ripple effect will be more, given that they would now see the need to visit community pharmacies or engage the services of pharmacists in hospitals going forward. So it means that whatever we thought we had even measured, there's definitely a ripple effect of that engagement. The second bit, even though we were told to speak about one key public health engagement, there's something interesting happening in Ghana. In Ghana, previously, pharmacy was a 4-year program, which is the Bachelor of Pharmacy. But now we run the Doctor of Pharmacy program, which is now 6 years. And then you do a 1-year house job. We realize that most patients in Ghana see pharmacists as the first port of call. If a patient is sick, the first place you want to look at is the community pharmacy. And if that is the case, then we need to be able to equip pharmacists such that when patients come to the community pharmacy, they can be able to deliver optimum care. So what we decided to do as ECPG was now to run a training on basic life support training for pharmacists, because if patients are going to come to the community pharmacy, you would require the pharmacist to have the requisite skills to be able to ensure that the patients who come there survive. So this year, 2024, we were able to provide 150 young pharmacists. We sponsored full sponsorship for 150 young pharmacists who serve in all kinds of places, community pharmacy, in regulatory and all that, because we believe that First aid is not just for only pharmacists within the community pharmacy space, but pharmacists across the spectrum that I mentioned: hospital, community, regulatory, academia. So as you can see in the diagram, we have 150 young pharmacists now well equipped to be able to dispense basic life support. We seek to increase the scope next year. We did this pilot program in Accra. Next year, we want to expand it to the other 15 regions, but we want to do it block by block, at least about 3 blocks. We have the northern, the southern, and then the central. So that is what we intend doing. And then now we leverage on the skills of those who have the requisite training to be able to do a trainer of trainers, essentially, to ensure that when patients come, because we are talking about public health campaign. Public health campaign is not just about running the campaign, but ensuring that your people have the requisite skills to be able to dispense whatever services are provided. The last bit I'll be touching on is our public health social or digital strategy. ECPG Ghana previously used not to have a public health campaign committee. Now we introduce the public health committee. The public health committee is driven by data. As you can see, the digital landscape in Ghana is shaped by WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as Twitter. So what our social media digital strategy or committee does, and looking at the data from WGI as of 2024, was that 20.7% of Ghanaians access or check their symptoms online. And this is what drives our public health campaign, because if you are driving social media campaign, it has to be data driven because of the metrics. So here you can see just snippets of campaigns that we have run on peptic ulcer disease, dysmenorrhea, and then dengue fever. For those who are within the African region, you realize that at some point, dengue fever sometime in Q2 of 2024 became an issue. All these, we were able to send circulars around to all the various social media outlets that I have highlighted to ensure that patients are well informed about our digital strategy. We have done same on Twitter, and we partner with one group of young pharmacists called the RX Spaces. So we do a lot of such engagements also on Twitter as well. These are just examples of other campaigns on AMR that are done. And on the far right, we have the Federation of the Pharmacy Student Federation. As I mentioned, they work closely with ECPG. So you can see they also do a very good job when it comes to other social media campaigns. To summarize everything that I've said today, the key takeaway for our social media, our public health campaign, the key takeaway for us are hinged on 4 pillars. The first one, the success of every public health campaign is hinged on, first of all, addressing or identifying the needs. So first of all, like we did at the Operation Storm, we identified the need, the gap. And just as we did for the first aid or BLS training, we saw the gap that pharmacists were seen as the first port of call, but they were not trained to administer basic life support. So needs assessment is critical. The next bit is to ensure that you have measurable. You say what does not get measured is not done. So we look at the metric of reach and engagement. And this is where the social digital strategy is measured by the social media impression. And now ECPG Ghana has a website. So I'll definitely probably put the link in the chat box for anyone who wants to visit, so that we can also monitor the reach of engagement. Then behavioral change. Now that we have gone out to do this Operation Storm, we expect that within the community pharmacies in Kumasi and other places where we have done these initiatives, patients will comply more and adhere more to the medications or the advice and expert opinion that pharmacists render. And the last one, to use the BLS or the basic life support. Now pharmacists can administer basic life support. And to measure that, the cost effectiveness or the return of investment, because we are putting money in. So the metric to measure for the BLS, for instance, will be the cost per life saved. Assuming a patient is rushed to your community pharmacy, are you well equipped to be able to do that? But more important, under a pharmacoeconomic metric, we look at the fact that the cost per life saved. And this brings an end to my presentation. Thank you so much for your keen attention.
Thank you so much, Reginald. I think your session has been very structured, and it helps me to craft even more questions for our panel discussion. Since we have less than 10 minutes left for this session, let's put everyone on the stage to discuss about some of the questions that I received via private message, as well as some of the message that I saw in the chat. Right. So Regina, I will just hold you for a few minutes more before you attend the wedding ceremony, if you don't mind. All right. Okay. If I can invite Alex, Dr. Diyana, and Alex to turn on your video, then I'll just spotlight you so that we can talk about some of the question in my mind and some of the questions that I've received. Okay. I need your help, Alex, to stop sharing your screen so that everyone can see four of us. Right. In the meantime, I'll pose the first question because a lot of us in YPG, although our topic today is about talking public health campaign, but I want to take one step back. Being in YPG, our first target audience is usually the pharmacists, the young pharmacists out there, and communicating with them and making them to start joining our activity is one kind of impact that we want to make before we can even talk to get more manpower to do public health campaign, right? So from our three panels here, what do you think would be the most effective way in engaging the early career pharmacists or pharmaceutical scientists out there to join us as a team members to run campaigns in future? What kind of approach that you would recommend, or what kind of approach that you think we can start doing? We'll go by Dr. Diyana, then Alex, and Regina.
All right, thank you, Yeling, for the question. So we're talking about how can the early career pharmacists come up with some impactful campaign in the future. Okay, so what you're doing right now is basically it. If you know the expression start them young. So this is exactly what we want. So often, okay, just probably just a bit of a sidetrack, but I think this is still relevant to be highlighted. So I remember when we train a bunch of nutritionists, they are all seniors in the ministry. So every time when they attend our session, they always say, "Oh my God, this should be discussed, and this should be taught probably as part of the syllabus while they are at the university." So this is always the feedback that we get from them. So now I'm glad that you actually organized this session for these young early career pharmacists, because definitely if you want an impactful campaign, you need the right tools and techniques for this. And then so that's the reason why at the beginning of my session, I started off with what do you call that, SBCC framework. And then I also showed some of the examples. And I'm not sure in other countries, but in Malaysia, I noticed there's been a trend as well. I just feel that, let's say, if you belong to certain ministry, for example, Ministry of Health, and then of course there's a department for communication, they tend to take people of the hard sciences background to be part of the workforce. And I don't think that is particularly accurate for the fact that these people are not trained in communication. So I seriously feel if you have to get somebody about it, probably has a marketing background, I think that's something that you might want to put in the position for the fact these people had done it, and then probably they have results to show. So, and then having said that, for the pharmacist itself, so I think session like this is helpful. And also probably I mean, there's not only one technique or one way of doing it, but I strongly advocate on this social and behavioral change as well as behavioral insights, because definitely like we could see the results. And I really hope that probably in the future we can have like a full-fledged session so that we can actually look at how this can be. It's very systematic, to be honest. Yeah.
How about Alex? How do you guys engage with the early career pharmacists in your country?
So, for this question, I want to like a little bit step back. That actually the young career pharmacist is like graduated as a pharmaceutical student. So like me, I was the president of Pharmaceutical Students Association. So now the way we want to get more engaged with the young pharmacists, of course, that we have our TRPG, and also we're trying to get more interaction with the pharmaceutical student. Like we want to convey them, like for example, about the awareness of public health or the engagement into like public affair. So like we have some, for example, international conference, like workshop, something like this, to make more connection and interaction with the pharmaceutical student. That's the one way. And the other way is like we're trying to like target like pharmacists in different fields. For example, in hospital pharmacies, community pharmacy pharmacists, and also academia pharmacists, something like that. So we also have some different workshop or like activity that target different field pharmacists to like enhance the interaction between the group from us and to those pharmacists.
All right. Reginald, so I saw your photos where you have a group of pharmacists together with you going out for Operation Storm. How did you convince them to join you for this? There must be some skills to communicate with them and inspire them to walk out together with you to do this mission. So how did you manage to do that?
Yes, for us, we believe that pharmacy is not a white collar job. It's a people related job, and which means that you should be willing to get your hands, I use the word dirty. So we don't want to create an environment where pharmacists are only comfortable. Yes, we all wear the white lab coat, but we should be able to go to the people. The clients who would make us better pharmacists are only not the ones who come with in the luxury cars. There are people who work in the markets. There are people who work in the community. They work in the lorry stations. They work in all kinds of places. So we try to create this grand idea that we are the first port of call. And just as we are servants of the people within the healthcare space, we need to let the people feel that we are a part of them. We are a community. And I believe that is why we always say, even at the retail level, we say community pharmacy. So if you are part of the community, you should not be ashamed to go and mingle with the community. So I believe what works for us more is to let young pharmacists appreciate what their little efforts they put in contributes to the overall national health objective, which is if we say we want to get to universal health coverage. It sounds so grandiose an idea, but if you tell them that we are going out to the market, there are 1,200 of, about say 500 of us going out to the market, and by engaging with these clients, we can help Ghana get a step closer to the universal health coverage. It brings the whole idea of the public health campaign home to them. So if you hear that WHO has set a global objective, you need to be able to break it down at the micro level for your people. And I think that is what we have been able to do. I remember my first Operation Storm campaign, I was still a student when the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana gave me the responsibility to lead a team. Interestingly, I was leading a team of senior pharmacists who were already practicing. And my job was, I was given a territory, and our job was to populate that area, engage anyone who was on the streets on that day within about a kilometer radius. Some went to all kinds of businesses unannounced, just to introduce themselves that we are pharmacists, this is what we do. And the feedback was awesome. So I believe that these are the micro things that we do that makes the whole thing exciting. And don't forget that I mentioned 70 to 80% of pharmacists in Ghana are young or are Generation Z. You need to make it exciting. You need to give them a reason to go out, else they won't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are about time, but I'll just ask one more questions by summarizing what I've gathered in the chat. So when we talk about the target audience, our target audience could be a pharmacist, could be a general public or community. And a lot of time, I think one of the key questions that we need to know ourselves is what is the goal that we want to achieve, like Reginald mentioned, and inspiring to tell them. So in my company, we have this dedicated department called engagement, where they do engagement, not marketing. They do not do publicity, but they go down to the ground with the customers and do some muscle strengthening activities, etc., etc. So I wonder from these three panels, if you could share with us one strategy that you think can make the most impactful engagement, what would it be so that we can take into consideration for our next campaign? So engagement activity. It could be something like the stamp that Dr. Diyana has mentioned, collect 10 stamps to get something, or it could be something else. So perhaps you can share with us if any of you want to start first, you can go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna go first. For me, it's always about incentive. Incentive always works. In fact, when we do data collection, it's the same thing. Like people just love freebies, free stuff. So you might want to incorporate that into your campaign. And then probably if something that involves reminding somebody, probably SMS reminder might work too. Well, that one, of course, we probably might want to engage with telco. But there are always ways of doing it. But for me, if you ask me, incentive. Always think about if you have a budget for your campaign, only put aside for incentive.
Great. How about Reginald or Alex?
Okay, maybe Alex go and then I come in.
Yeah, Alex.
Okay, so I think I totally agree with Dr. Diana, like incentive always works. And in our case, that at least from the campaign we just closed, that interaction always works. That interaction, it doesn't like have make it interest, but also create more activity that you make the people stay. So the time you can for our case that you make the children stay on group, that the parent also stay. That's the other opportunity that you doesn't like expect from the origin when we are organizing or designing the campaign. So I would say interaction is a really good strategy, but the key thing is how to make this interaction very effective and efficient. That's the thing we will have to take into consideration.
All right, how about Reginald?
Yeah, so what I'll add to what Doc and then Alex have shared so far is co-creation. And when whatever you are trying to do, when people feel a part of it, they are more inclined to contribute. So I think whatever we do as a strategy, we need to look at the whole campaign as a spectrum and map up the stakeholders properly. Once we map up the stakeholders properly, we need to identify which element each stakeholder plays in. The stakeholders does not have to be a professional. Whoever we are targeting must feel part of the ideation process of whatever solution you are providing. I believe that whenever you do that, I realized that I saw a video of a young gentleman in Ghana who gets a lot of market women to do a lot of group dance. And I kept wondering, what was it about this gentleman that makes the market women tick? And I realized that they feel a part of he involves them in the whole process. So it doesn't come across as he's the star of the team, but they see it as a team effort. So I believe that anything that you want to carry out, when people believe they are part or they have something to not only benefit, but there's something they can pinpoint to say that because I was part of this initiative, we were able to make this impact, they would very much contribute to that. That is what I want to add briefly to what my co-panelists have shared. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I could share with everyone an example on how we can incorporate the incentive, the interaction, and being part of it, right? I recently saw a post. So this is an optical shop in Malaysia. Before they even opened their shop, they created a post to allowing engagement for the audience to pick what should be the name of the optical shop. So they give three options, like for example, OptiSaver, OptiGood or OptiBest, and allow people to choose what should be the name of this optical shop. It creates the interaction. It makes them feel like I'm part of this. And subsequently, for the winners, they'll choose a lucky draw winners and give them, I think, 1 year supply of sunglasses and other kind of glasses. So that's how we can incorporate incentive interaction as well as making people be involved in this whole activities so that it can create a bigger impact. And we can also apply this in FIP ECPG for our upcoming session. Maybe next year you'll see more incentive coming soon. So please keep in touch with us so that it can be the one having the first-hand information. Right. So we are coming to the end of the session. I know some of you just came in not long ago and you would like to get the presentation slides or even a recording. Just to share with you, I've made the whole session recorded, so I'll be sharing with you. Please always email to us if you need any of these recordings, then I'll share the link with you. All right. And before we leave, let's take a group photo. May I invite everyone to turn on your camera if you are available, so that we can take a group photo together and keep this memory. Who knows, we might meet each other one day in different countries, right? And if you are coming to Malaysia, please look for me or Dr. Diyana and all. All right, let me just put this in gallery mode. I'll give you another few seconds to turn on your camera so that we can take a photo of all of you and keep the memory. Give you another 5 seconds if you're ready. Any more? Okay. Countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay, hold your smile for a while, and I'm taking a snapshot. All right, cool. I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you have a very enjoyable weekend. And Reginald can go for a wedding ceremony after this. Right. Okay, thank you so much, and keep in touch. Please follow FIP ECPG for any upcoming exciting activity. Thank you very much, everyone. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
See you again.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye. It was a pleasure.
Bye.